All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Yo, what's up, We Book It fam? This is your boy Big Daddy C stepping in for Freaky Fritos for this good old SmackDown Lowdown, Throwdown, Bring It Around Town show where we cover all things related to Friday Night SmackDown. So we're about 2 weeks away from WrestleMania 42. So the roster is pretty much doing everything it can to pretty much hype up the matches that we have for the event. So we did starting off. We had Randy Orton coming out doing a promo. There was a shot of superstars backstage, and then we had the recap video showing what happened last week on Monday Night Raw, this past Monday on Monday Night Raw between Cody Rhodes and Stephanie McMahon. And then we went live to the arena for Randy Orton's entrance. Basically spent a good amount of time letting his music play as he paced to the ring. This was in St. Louis. Shout out Coachman, who was at the show tonight. And so hopefully he makes an appearance, but if he doesn't, it's cool too. But yeah, we know Randy Orton's from St. Louis. That was his hometown. Crowd that he was around. The crowd still wanted to cheer for him, despite him being a heel. And so he couldn't help but smile when they started chanting his name. It's natural reaction always. He did point out that his family that was there in the front row, and that he's doing all this for. He said that he was doing all of this for his family. Let me get the comment section up here. Let me see. Oh, dumbass banner. Okay, hold on. All right, there we go. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, he basically pointed out that his family was in the front row and that he was doing all of this for them. So it seemed like a babyface promo. He did try to throw in some heel lines, but all it did was make the crowd cheer him even more. That's how amazing Randy Orton is. That's how beloved he is amongst the WWE universe. As expected, Cody Rhodes came out there and they started scrapping right off the rip. It was on site. But in a surprising turn of events, Pat McAfee, making his grand return to WWE, showed up and kicked Cody Rhodes in the nuts, before helping Randy Orton continue the assault. He was giving a heel promo while Randy Orton continued to keep Rhodes grounded with a steel chair. Pat McAfee was just talking his shit. He was throwing shots at St. Louis, saying, hey, the Cardinals suck and, the Blues, suck and all this other stuff, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I'm a Chicago native and a Chicago sports fan, so I despise the Cardinals. I despise the St. Louis Blues. I am a Blackhawks fan. Again, shout out Coach. Fuck the Blues. But yeah, so that's pretty much how that ended there. I know there was some speculation about who Orton had been on the phone talking to. Some people thought it was The Rock. Some people may have thought it was his dad, which wouldn't have made no fucking sense anyway. Who knows who it could have been? But McAfee was the last person that we thought was going to be that guy. So it's kind of like it was pretty much a letdown. It was like, really? Like, this is what it is? Don't get me wrong. I'm glad to see McAfee back. I've always been a big McAfee fan, just as a personality and sports analyst and all that other stuff. So, and as a commentator, for WWE. So it's good to see him back. I just didn't think it would be in this aspect. I thought it would just be commentary. Hopefully he'll still be back on commentary. But we'll see how that plays out. So yeah, the Lions, it feels random. However, I did hit up the guys. I was like, this might be, a situation where Pat McAfee is going to be the Jimmy Hart, to his Hulk Hogan or whatever WWE legend that has been in the past that Jimmy Hart has been a manager for. And so I can see Pat McAfee just going around talking shit to everybody with a megaphone or a microphone, just talking shit. The whole like backstage, locker room, in the ring, it don't matter. Commentary, it will definitely be some must see television. If they do it right, I could see this being pretty solid tandem with him and Randy Orton. But it did, I definitely see this being like a threat because obviously we've seen Cody Rhodes be on Pat McAfee show, in the past. Randy Orton has been on there a few times now. So there's a little history there between those three. So next up, we had our first match. Between Michin and Rhea Ripley. Last time in action, Michin lost to Jade Cargill. This is before aligned with her and B-Fab are aligned with Jade Cargill as Jade gets ready to face Rhea Ripley. And so, yeah, this is the first match of the night. After a couple of minutes, Rhea Ripley was in control of the match, but she got distracted when Jade Cargill would show up at ringside. This allowed Michin to execute a German suplex as the show went to commercial break. Rhea Ripley eventually made a comeback and used her prism trap submission to get the victory. She didn't let go of the hold until B-Fab would attack her from behind, and then it took some help from EO Sky, surprise there, to send Jade Cargill and her friends packing. This was a pretty predictable outcome, to be honest with you, but it was a solid back and forth match. Best Michin is looking in quite some time. And so next up, we had Uncle Howdy versus Tama Tonga. Last time in action, we had Wyatt Six beating the MFTs. Tama Tonga had some harsh words for Solo Sikoa about why they were fighting over a lantern. Solo told him to go fight Uncle Howdy. Tama was like, all right, cool, but I want to do this shit alone. And so we had the commercial break come quickly. These damn commercial breaks, man, I tell you, it's some straight bullshit. But Tama was firmly in control at that point. Neither man had their respective stable with them, so it was pretty much a fair fight for the most part. It was pretty physical, but it felt like something was missing in this match. There was no urgency, in my opinion. Felt like they were kind of like just going through the paces, having a brutal grudge match, which in a way it needed to feel that way. So Howdy did have Tonga locked in the mandible claw when Solo would show up and try to interfere with the lantern. The ref did catch him, and Tonga told him, like, hey, dude, I told your ass I wanted to do this shit alone. And then ultimately the distraction caused him to get hit with his sister Abigail, and Howdy would get the win. After the match, Tama Tonga would rip the lantern from Solo's hands. Basically told him, like, dude, we don't need this damn lantern no more. Like, this shit is causing enough problems with us. And basically allowed Uncle Howdy to reclaim the lantern. And so it looks like we got some problems in the MFTs, baby. There's some problems going on, man. This shit has been brewing. And so, we'll see how everything unfolds with those guys. And I noticed that early on before the match, they did skip the Uncle Howdy's entrance. And this is another reason why these fucking commercials are irritating as hell, man. We missing out on cool entrances and shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, we got to do better with this shit. WWE, do better. Next up, we had another promo segment. We had Trick Williams and Sami Zayn coming out there. So how this unfolded, we had Sami Zayn talking to Nick Aldis backstage before his scheduled promo. But Trick Williams' music hit, and he came out to the ring with Little Yachty. I mean, not Little Yachty. Like, come on, bro. I know I sound old as fuck saying Little Yachty. You know, older people, for the rappers, they has Lil in front of their name. That's how the older people like Little Wayne, Little Yachty, Little Bow Wow. Like, you know, but it was Lil Yachty. And I'm like, why are we bringing these mid-ass rappers to WWE television? Why are we doing this shit? This shit is fucking irritating. First, we got fucking that motherfucking Fiend, nigga. Like Fiend, Travis Scott ass. Like, come on, bro. Like, why we got these mid-ass rappers on it, like on WWE television? I'm sick of this shit. All right. Like, yeah, why? What? I get it. Maybe him and Trick Williams are cool. You know, all right, maybe it was Trick Williams, you know, idea. Like, what the fuck we doing though? We don't need no Lil Yachty. Like, we done already had mid-ass rappers at WrestleMania, bro. We don't need another one. I'm sick of this shit. All right. So basically, yeah, he brought Lil Yachty out there. They basically they proceeded to give a speech about how Trick Williams will win the US title at Mania from Sami Zayn. Trick Williams called for some pyro, but he got interrupted by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn told Trick Williams that he's in over his head because he's about to step in the ring with one of the best. The crowd was behind Williams more than Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was getting booed like hell, according to Coach, because Coach was there in person. He said the crowd was booing the fuck out of him, which I love because we tired of this Sami Zayn shit. All right. Then Carmelo Hayes shows up, makes more things interesting. Said he's upset with how things went down last week. He and Sami Zayn went back and forth about what happened until Melo talked him into a rematch for the championship for tonight, which Sami agreed to. And so basically, the segment ended with Sami Zayn clotheslining Trick Williams over the top rope. So yeah, the segment started off weak. You know, obviously with Lil Yachty being there, you know, it was just trash. His promo skills garbage. All right. And so we don't need him back. We just this should have been a one-off. Like, don't bring his ass back again. All right. And so then we had a promo from Jacob Fatu, which is directed at Drew McIntyre in a pre-recorded video, basically hyping up their match for WrestleMania. They have a unsanctioned match at WrestleMania. Next up, we had our match. We had Matt Cardona versus Aleister Black. Last time in action for Cardona, he lost to Randy Orton. Aleister Black defeated Sami Zayn on SmackDown as well. That was his last time in action. They did have a run-in backstage earlier in the show. Zelina Vega, of course, accompanied Black to the ring. The match started out with some simple takedowns, but Cardona had injured his arm, which was giving him some problems. And obviously the whole shit with Randy Orton, that played a part, that injury there. And so Aleister Black would take advantage of that. And so this match didn't really live. This match didn't give us what we would have wanted, but it's all good. So it was, but it was some decent work, but it wasn't nothing to write home about. But they're two good seasoned veterans. So if they did have a rematch, I think it'll be a lot better. But yeah, so Aleister Black took the victory with his Black Mass kick, which he hit out of nowhere. Like Cardona was just punching this man, and all of a sudden, Black Mass. Get your ass out of here, bro. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that was pretty much how that match ended. After that, we had a match between Bayley and Lyra versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. This was a piss break, but I did go back and watch a little bit of it just to see how everything unfolded. Last time at action with these women, we had Bayley and Lyra losing to the Irresistible Forces, Nia Jax and Keith. I want to call this girl Jakara Jackson, but what is this girl name? Lash Legend. But yeah, so that's who those in that tag team is. So basically, all four of the women are baby faces in this match: Lyra, Bailey, Charlotte, Alexa. There's a lot of history between Charlotte, Alexa, and Bailey, so you had enough animosity to make it feel a little bit more personal than usual. Lyra and Charlotte ended up the first legal competitors in the match after Bliss and Bailey fought outside of the ring. The show did cut to an abrupt break again with Bliss and Flair in control. While most of the match was okay, the fact that Bailey and Lyra were booked to lose clean this close to Mania felt weird. I didn't think that should have been the best call, honestly. Booking one of the teams fighting for the titles to look weak this close to Mania, it doesn't make sense in my opinion. But a clean finish, still better than interference. After the match, Lash Legend and Nia Jax showed up and took out all four women, which they've pretty much been doing for the last month or so. So it was nothing new here. There was a backstage segment, funny backstage segment with R-Truth, Johnny Gargano, and Candice LeRae. It's just random shit been happening on SmackDown. It's crazy. Next up, we had R-Truth and Damian Priest versus Kit Wilson and The Miz for the Tag Team Championship. Last time in action, Damian Priest and R-Truth won the Tag Team Championships from the MFTs. Kit Wilson and Miz random ass tag team again. Had their first match as partners this week. And so basically it was for the Tag Team Championships. Danhausen offered to remove the curse from Miz and Wilson. But Miz basically yelled at him, so the curse was still in effect. Kit Wilson and R-Truth started out for their respective teams, and it was immediately clear that this was going to be a comedy match at its core. And that's exactly what it was. Nothing but shits and giggles in this match. Overall, I'll give my opinions on the show, but this match, straight ass. Like I said, comedy, but ass nonetheless. Danhausen arrived during the match, and he wanted The Miz to tag him in, which the ref tried to tell him it was not legal. The Miz screamed at him to go away and tried to talk to the ref, so R-Truth tagged in Danhausen instead. Miz tried to take out Danhausen with the skull-crushing finale, but he disappeared, and when it looked like The Miz was going to win, the ref suddenly had a problem with his arm due to Danhausen accidentally cursing him. Yes, The Miz pulled the ref in front of him as Danhausen started to point at him like, "You're cursed," and the ref basically caught a cramp as he was like giving the 3 count, and this allowed Damian Priest to come in and hit the South of Heaven on The Miz. Did he hit on The Miz? Yeah, I think it was on The Miz for the 3 count, and that's how that match ended. Truth and Priest retained their championships. And then we had our main event here. We had Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes for the men's U.S. title. Last time in action, we had Sami Zayn defeating Carmelo Hayes for that championship, U.S. championship, which a lot of fans, including myself, didn't like that shit. Coach didn't like it. Fritos didn't like it. None of us liked that shit. And Coach said he got some shit to say on Sunday. If you watch Monday Night Raw, dog, Coach said he gonna save it. He gonna save it for the pod on Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. Basically this match was pretty solid. Arguably the best match on the show. We had about 13 minutes left. So it wasn't going to be a long match, but started out with them two locking up and trading holds. Trick Williams and Lil Lottie. Look, see, I can't even say the nigga name right because he ass. All right, Lil Yachty. Both of them was out there sitting to watch the match next to the announce table. The show went to its final commercial break. Melo hit a huge dive and began selling a leg injury. These two, Sami Zayn and Melo, they have great chemistry in the ring. They work well together based on their previous matches. So there's no surprise that these two had the best performance of the night. Both men basically hit each other with their best moves, but it was Sami Zayn who would emerge as the winner thanks to the haluva kick. Melo had the leg injury. He tried to do his little finisher, but Sami rolled out the way, and he tweaked it again, and that's what set up the haluva kick. After the match, Trick Williams would attack Sami Zayn, and Lil Yachty joined in to help him, which like I said, he doesn't need to be there. He's trash. And so I want to say there was another segment that I forgot about. Cody Rhodes, after he got jumped by Randy Orton and Pat McAfee, came out there basically giving this promo, saying, hey, we was all wondering who the mystery guy was that Randy Orton was on the phone with. Turns out it was Pat McAfee. And Cody Rhodes give his typical, I'm hearing voices in my head, blah, blah, blah. Randy Orton's my hero. Had John Cena on one side as the angel and Randy Orton on the other side as the devil. He's basically, saying, hey, look, I'm ready now. Like Stephanie McMahon was right, all this other shit. And so, and Cody say, I got voices in my head. I'm starting to hear them, but I don't think you want to hear them. And I felt like it was some so that I say all of that, you said all of that just to say you don't want to hear the voices. I'm like, bro, you got your ass kicked already. So you come out here talking about some you want to hear the voices. You don't want to hear the voices, but all right. Randy and them already left the fucking arena. So what you gonna do? Might as well wait till next week. Like saying you hear the voices, but you don't want to hear. You don't think he wants to hear them. Like, well, what's the point, dog? What's the point? So this entire show I feel like was pretty mid. It was maybe a couple of decent matches for the most part, but overall the show was mid. I feel bad for Coach, going to a mid-ass show, man. We expected some shocking things to happen. Like I said, we didn't expect Pat McAfee, but it wasn't really anything to, write home about or break the internet. So it's I think shit will hit the fan next week. I believe next week is, let me check these dates. We got 2 weeks out, so maybe I would say maybe the next 2 weeks on SmackDown, shit gonna hit the fan, So I think just for whatever reason tonight was just not that great. I think they put so much emphasis on the Cody and Randy shit with them being in St. Louis, and I wish I was gonna be in St. Louis tomorrow for NXT Stand and Deliver. I want to see my girl Jada Parker, but bills had to be paid. But yeah, man, thanks for all who tuned in to this show. Just to recap SmackDown, like I said, I'm stepping in for Fritos, and so he'll be back next week hopefully. And this is Big Daddy C signing out. Peace.